Hello, Trial to Track is back. I'm Tom Haylock, joined by Alex Barnes, a new face on the show and a new face at the Trial Files. You can tell us a brief bit about yourself, Alex, but there is a bio up on the trialfiles.com.au. But how are you, mate? You going well?
Super, mate. I'm very excited to join you. Very excited for Trial to Track to be back and really looking forward to getting stuck in to look at a very big weekend of racing with you.
Yeah, you've been helping me out for a little while. And we've got a huge weekend of racing with the Blue Diamond. We'll talk about the Silver Slipper as well in Sydney. I can't wait to discuss that. There's an interesting debutante race or maiden race at Canterbury as well on Friday night, which we might look at as well, Alex. But we'll start with the Blue Diamond. Rail out 4 at Caulfield. Race 8 on the program. I've got it playing potentially up and in, but no huge advantage with a slight southerly. I think the track will play pretty fair. How have you got it?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Rail 4, Caulfield, it's generally the pattern. And then you look at the meeting, this meeting, you don't tend to get the really big biases for the Blue Diamond meeting, especially in the last probably 5 to 6 years. And I don't think that's going to be much different this year.
Yep. What do you got at the speed? I can talk to speed as well, but the speed of the race of the Blue Diamond, how do you see it run?
Yeah, Lady of Camelot looks the obvious leader. She led and went relatively quickly at Rose Hill last start. Spywire from out wide, I think they're going to light it up as well. Kuriyanagi from the Clark and O'Shea yard, drawn 2, looks to take a spot up there as well. And I think they're going to probably want to be pretty handy with Coleman as well, drawn 7. I don't think they're going to want Lady of Camelot to be too far in front of it turning. So I think the pace will be good, but I don't think we're looking at a breakneck speed here.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. We've seen a few Blue Diamonds in the past that there's been a lot of speed on paper and they've actually gone very slowly. Here, it doesn't actually look like a huge tempo on paper, but a genuine tempo. So interesting to see what happens. Lady Camelot, the clear leader for mine. Kuriyanagi can kick up from the inside. You've got Spywire, who they went back in a Magic Millions and ran home okay, but shown speed in the past and drawn awfully. And then you've got Stay Focused, who draws wide as well, and probably the victim or the horse that was harshly treated from the barrier draw, and they might roll forward as well. I've got Coleman, Bodyguard, getting the perfect runs here behind the speed. I've got an average to decent tempo, and I think Lady Camelot gets all the favours. I'm pretty keen on Lady of Camelot here. I'm pretty confident on the process of how I've done this race. Hopefully I can be right, but I've looked away from a couple of lead-ups, and we kind of disagree, and we'll go through your numbers as well. I'm with Lady of Camelot. I don't like the preludes. The fillies and the boys ran very similar times. It was a very similar race shape, and they all crossed the line as one if you combine the 2 races according to time. So I don't think there's any stars in that group. I know a lot of people were talking about the field and the 2 there and the horse that was unlucky in High Octane, but I actually liked Stay Focused in that race and Bodyguard as well, and that's how the race panned out. I thought High Octane was obviously a fair way off him, but very unlucky, so we'll never know. But Lady of Camelot brings Sydney form and above benchmark to the 600 and above benchmark home. It was a lightning run. The market said she was there to win, and she improved and she trialled well prior to that first up performance, Alex. And the stable said they would go straight to Blue Diamond after that. So we've known the plan for a long time. Are you with her? Do you like her?
I do like her. I think there was a pretty clear sign of intent. If you watched her trials leading into that first up win, there was a pretty clear sign that she was going to be there and ready to come into this peaking second up. Slight query the day that she won on. I think it was 7 of the 8 winners were 1-2, lanes 1 and 2. So not sure how flattered she was by that. And I'm just thinking that, the 750 bet early, we're looking at around sort of, I think, 460, 480 now. If you miss the price, like I did, then and I'm looking elsewhere, but I can't deny that being the sole leader in the race, Gay Waterhouse stable firing with 2-year-olds, clearly one of the horses to beat.
Yeah, I've got her on top. She went 4.2 lengths faster, as I said, so she ran really fast to the 600 and 3.9 lengths faster than benchmark home. So it was a really good time. You mentioned advantage to be up on speed that day, but that's racing, and I think it could be the same at Caulfield. You lob in 1-1, you take lob up on speed, you take luck out of the equation, and she does that. And the Waterhouse Block Camp absolutely flying with their 2-year-olds. The other one that I like here, and I'm obviously keen to take on the prelude form, but the other one I like here is a massive price, maybe a forgotten horse, and I don't know what you think of this, but Spywire, 1,200 is the query, and you're getting a massive price, probably get $50 on Betfair, if not more. Started at $8.50 in a Magic Millions against what many are saying is the best 2-year-old in 10 years or so. The run was okay, obviously beaten by a fair margin by a potential superstar, but the fact Spywire started at $8.50 there, hadn't done much wrong, obviously ran well at Wyong and won the Gold Coast race in the lead-up. I just think from the wide barrier, I hope they're positive, consider outside lead, and I wouldn't be surprised if those two kick away and this horse runs a drum at $50, so I could have something small each way, Spywire. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I couldn't disagree. I mean, the price is what's really attractive there. I think, if he was $8.50 in this field, you're probably looking the other way. But you as you mentioned, the SP against a horse like Storm Boy is a really strong indicator to that horse's level of talent and how well it was going before. And I think you're right that if they want to go back from the barrier, you probably double that price. You're probably 100 to 1. But if they want to lob outside Lady Camelot at 50s, I think, you're definitely going to look, if not the winner, you're going to look like you're going to be in the contest at some stage when you turn for home.
I said on a show earlier today that if Spywire sells outside lead, I've got him marked $15. If he settles back and goes back and wide, I've got him marked about 60s probably. So that's the difference with intent and positivity from that barrier. And hopefully they do pull the trigger and roll forward. I know you haven't got either of those two, my two selections, in your mix. I know you give Lady of Camelot a chance, but you like Anisa here out of the Coleman race, a day that probably suited Coleman more?
Yeah, they just sort of jog trotted there, and she got back last, and probably if you were doing the form for that race and watched her previously, you probably had her pegged as going forward, but the difference is she was already in the diamond. She'd already secured her place in the race, and the Moody stable, they're Moody and Coleman, they're geniuses. So you think that run was planned and intentional, and you look at the splits that she ran home on that day, the 4 to the 2 and 2 home, very comparable with Coleman, actually faster from the 4 to the 2 than Coleman. We've seen her win impressively at Caulfield before. And when you line her up with Coleman, you're getting $3.80 Coleman, $11 Anisa. When there was no intent there first up for Anisa. I just think she maps really well from the barrier. There's going to be a lot more intent here. I just think we're getting a really good price about a talented filly. It's a really open competitive race. It's a really good Blue Diamond, and it's exciting. We've had probably a bit of lack of class in the Blue Diamond the last couple of years, but just even from you and I tonight having the differing opinions, there's many other opinions you could take. But I'm in her camp at the price.
Yeah, I do. I would lay Coleman at the price, and I was pretty confident in that thought. And then I kept watching that replay, and Coleman was strong, and I know we found Coleman that day. And Anisa only had the one jump out leading in as well, so would have had a big blow after that, Alex.
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. That was part of the reason why we lent Coleman's way in that first up run was He was probably there to win. He needed to win. Whereas, as you said, she had one soft jump out at Pakenham, so that race there was really to top her off for today. And in saying that, look, Coleman, I think he's a really smart horse. He's a horse I've had a lot of time for since the first time I saw him at the jump outs, and he's the rightful favourite, and he could easily win the race as well. But I just think when you're getting triple the price for those two horses, that's the reason I'm leaning to her.
You've got a bit of value as well, like me, in the way of Fearless, mate.
I do. He's a horse I've had a lot of time for since I found him up at the trials in Sydney. He's a Purata, same breed as Coleman, and the thing I've loved about him since I watched his trials, I thought he's always had a bit of a knack for chasing. He always looks like he chases. He wants to find the line. His first up run, he did exactly that. And that form, I think that form's really strong through Prost. The Gay Waterhouse horse up there. He does come into this race and maiden, and he does draw 16. But I think up to 1,200 is really going to suit him. I think he's a horse with a lot of class. And most importantly, I think he's a horse with a bit of tenacity. He wants to find the line. He wants to chase. So if they go too hard up front, if it doesn't pan out how we are predicting with a moderate tempo, then I think he's going to be the horse that's hitting the line harder than anyone. And at $41, I definitely don't want to be watching the race without something on him.
Can you make a case for Traffic Warden as well? Hasn't done much wrong. Obviously ties in through that form line.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the nature of this race. There's probably 5 other horses that you could make a case for, and that's without mentioning Bodyguard, High Octane. A couple of these stay focused, and Traffic Warden was a horse that I nearly backed on debut to beat Storm Boy. That I was, that's how much I thought of him off his trials, which I luckily pulled the right rein and went with Storm Boy, but butted up, and he's a winner at Caulfield. Which some of these horses aren't, and especially horses coming from Sydney. I can definitely make a case for him as well at a price.
Yeah, I don't mind him either. He got beaten 2.28 by Storm Boy on debut, started $5 SP. It's pretty good form, and if you like the fearless form, you've got to probably have something on Traffic Warden at a huge price as well, Barnesy. Let's head to the Oakley Plate. We'll just summarise. I'm pretty keen, Lady of Camelot. I've got it marked on top in the Blue Diamond. Spywire by Best Ruffy. You're Keen, race 8, number 12, and Nisa on top from number 10. Your best value there, mates. Let's get to the Oakley Plate. It's a fascinating race. It's always a great race and a very deep race. I'm not sure the quality's there this year, and it probably says as much that Kalos is top weight here, Barnesy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was sort of the first thing that caught the eye when you look at the races. You think normally there's 1 or 2 standout, Group 1 performed horses that would be your top weights. Obviously, Asfoora would be the one, clearly the class, and she would be top weighted without the mare's allowance. It carries 57.5. But it's incredibly open. It's a typical Oakley Plate. They're going to go fast. You're going to need luck. But I think you're right. It's probably an Oakley Plate lacking that really top end depth.
Yeah, and Kalos was in a listed race 5 starts ago, and now finds himself top weight after going past Asfoora first up. I'm pretty keen to play here. I've got no graphic here, but I do like Benedetta. I've had a big opinion of her at the trial files for a long time, and lovely horse. She's got a great career record. She comes off a Silver Eagle where she was fantastic. I think on paper and ratings, you might say that she hasn't competed in Group 1 class, but I don't think this is a Group 1 race and doesn't have the Group 1 depth. She's got a perfect barrier draw. First up into an Oakley Plate's interesting, but her work has been okay. So I've got her as an each-way play. I want to ask you about King's Gambit. No doubt you've seen the trials. I've liked what he's done at the trials. I'm a bit nervous about barrier 1 for him, but I concede he's a very scary horse, and I don't want to lose if he wins.
Yeah, absolutely. King's Gambit's one of those horses for me that, being trial watchers like we are, I find myself getting really seduced and sucked in by this horse, and then, let down because I think he's got immense talent. The win before the break was good. The trial was outstanding. Barrier 1's terrifying, I think, for a horse like him. I'm not sure, how much he's got in the heart capacity, and I think he's going to need a bit. He's going to need to, force a run. And at $4.40 in this race, if he'd drawn out and he was going to get a clear run at him down the middle, I'd almost be keen to play. But for me, I'm going to avoid him here. And I actually quite like the South Australian horse Shripper. He's a horse that I've followed since his first jump outs in South Australia. Always had an immense amount of talent. It's just been hard to control and hard to put together. But he's come back in amazing order. And he's a horse on the up and up. And I think drawn 13 gives him a chance to work across without having to, really kick up and hold a position. Craig Newitt has a good association with him, and Shane Oxlade. He's had 2 Group 1 runners in his life before today, and he's got 2 runners in the same race, and wishing him all the best. But I think at sort of $8.59, I'd be happy to back it.
Yeah, interesting. I was really concerned. You made a good case for the positive barrier, but I was very concerned about where he gets to from there. He'd have to find a back to follow out 3-day running line potentially, and the way the tracks plays might dictate his chances.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think because I've got a pretty good handle on the horse, being a South Australian that I've followed for a long time. When he gets in behind runners and firing, can over race. He's got a massive stride. Yep. You can't just go and win an Oakley Plate 3, 4, 5 wide, no cover. It's not that kind of race. But I think they'll let him roll and get across. And I wouldn't be surprised if they went and sat outside lead or something like that. I can see that there's a big risk with the speed map, but I'd much rather a horse like him drawn 13 than 1.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Also, Barrier 1 probably gives King's Gambit his chance to win as well if he gets that suck run and lightweight, Jamie Carr. But fascinating race. Benedetta, my play, you're pretty keen. Skrupper, the South Australian, you're an Adelaide boy, so you're being very loyal there. Let's get to Rose Hill. There's a bit of weather around this week. It's a drying track. There's some showers forecast on the day as well. I'm very cautious of this being up and in. Fence-in run style day if it doesn't rain throughout the day. So just monitor that if it's drying on the day there at Rose Hill. Looks a great card of racing. Let's talk about the Silver Slipper, Barnesy. Which way are you leaning here?
A lot of time for Straight Charge. Number 2 here, Go Waterhouse, Tim Clark. You get that combination engaged. There's only one thing in mind is they're going to fire it out and go to the front. And I think this is just a seriously smart horse. I've had a lot of time for this animal, and I've been with him every start. And he won at Randwick and was nominated at the Gold Coast Magic Millions. I was keen to play there, even against Storm Boy, which would have been foolish in the end. But I think back to a race like the Silver Slipper, the trial leading in was great. Draws 9. I think it should pretty well get across without too much hassle. It's a very fast horse out of the machines, and I'm very, very keen on its winning chances and its future as a horse as well.
I've got him on top as well. See no issues. Tim Clark, Barry 9, rolls forward. He proves very hard to beat. The only concern is if we see fence-in run first 3 races potentially and the jockeys clue on and they make him work or settle outside lead or something like that. That's a little concern of mine. We have a horse that's accepted here on debut called Gatsby's. Now, this horse trialled outstanding the other day at Rose Hill, the home track. Chris Waller, Tommy Berry on Saturday in the Silver Slipper, but it's stepping out at Canterbury Race 1 Friday night with J-Mac on, so it's really interesting to see which way they go. I dare say they go to Canterbury Friday night with J-Mac riding, but Canterbury looks a pretty good race as well. Barnesy, I'm not sure if you had a look at that.
Yeah, I did. There's a bit of depth there, so it's not like just dropping out of stakes grade in the Silver Slipper is going to mean it can roll up there and it's going to be a cakewalk. There's a horse from the John O'Shea stable there with Nash Willer to ride called Rosalind Star, who's trialled very well as well leading up to this. I think that horse has a lot of ability. And there's also one there that I know that you like at a price I'll get you to talk about, but I think I'll try and pronounce it correctly, Silmarillion or something along the lines. Silmarillion.
Yep.
That's not bad. That's a Godolphin horse. I know you liked his trials. What do you have to think of that?
Yeah, Zach Lloyd on board. Wide Barrier is a little concern. Godolphin and Sydney aren't going well at the moment, so that's a big concern for mine. Their record at the moment with their horses, they're just going half rat pair at the moment. But Silmarillion trialled outstanding. I loved the way she worked through in between runners. I really like when 2-year-olds do that, so I think she's a nice horse. And watching that race, and there's also one down the bottom that goes okay too for Joe Pride, Macro Emergency as well. So it's quite a deep race. I think Gatsby's probably a deserved favourite, but as you said, Rosalind's Star goes well as well, and I've probably got those two on top. So I kind of hope Gatsby's runs in the Silver Slipper so we can get 25s about Gatsby's there, and we can take Rosalind's Star Friday night. We'll just monitor scratchings and we'll do some previews. Before we wrap up, mate, Morphettville, you've got one. You're an Adelaide boy. You do the Adelaide form for the trial files. You've got one here for us.
Yep, I do. In the backyard. So the Adelaide Carnival starts to heat up this time of year as we head towards autumn. We tend to get the sort of best racing here. And one of those races is the Cinderella Stakes to race for 2-year-old fillies over the 1,050. I'm really keen on one here from the Matt Laurie yard. It's called Campari Twist. It's a $300,000 So You Think filly. It's a half to a horse they have called Ranveer. So the breeding is very good. And the jump out, there's been 2 jump outs recently at Balnarring, and the most recent one of those was you couldn't be any more impressed with the way she travelled and let down and really made a mess of them. And I think, going through this field with some of the Adelaide form in there are no horses in here that I think are well beaters. I've got Campari Twist clearly on top, $3.10 currently. I could get a much, much shorter than that. So that's going to be my main bet of the day. Morpheville, and very keen to play.
There you go. Campari Twist Fresh 507. I think I've got 250 there on the graphic, but more than that available at the moment, you said.
Yeah, well, that was the last time that I looked. I saw 310 sports bet, but I'm sure you get all the info before me, mate, so I'll trust you.
No, we'll just have a bet and make Campari Twist $2.50. Beautiful, mate. Thanks for joining me. Long show, good show. Hopefully we'll be doing more of this over the autumn and heading into the spring, and hopefully we find plenty of more winners, mate. So love your summation, love your previews and your knowledge, and really appreciate you coming on. So hopefully plenty more shows. Cheers, Buzzy.
No worries. Thanks for having me, mate. Looking forward to next time.